Today we're going to be talking about bringing up boys, and if you just take 5 minutes out, today's study is self-harm. Andy, you've got a case study for us?
Yes, thanks, Julie. I mean, this is a pretty scary story from a mother called Lucy. She has a son called Alan, who's 16. He used to be a top-performing student at school, doing really well, but a few weeks ago he became a bit withdrawn and secretive. And then Lucy said she got a call from school. Alan's grades had dropped significantly, and then the school called again saying his behaviour had changed and his attitude to the teachers was getting really bad. So Lucy tried talking to him, but Alan accused her of pressurising him. They argued, and Lucy says that she realised she was getting really angry and frustrated with Alan. And when her husband tried to talk to her son, he got a wall of silence. And then it got even worse. Lucy walked into Alan's room, not knowing that he was there, and she says what she saw that morning will never leave her. Her wonderful boy was cutting himself with a razor. When he saw his mother, he exploded. "How dare you come into this room without knocking?" You know, that sort of thing. His arm was pouring with blood. According to Lucy, Alan stormed out, threatening to end it all. Lucy called all of Alan's friends, only to find out that he didn't hang around with them anymore. Eventually, Alan did come home. He sat down and he cried like a baby. He said he hated who he was. The other boys were happy and confident, while he felt a failure. The stress of school was getting too much. His friends were all into sports, and he hated sports. He felt he was fat, ugly, and a geek. Lucy and her husband are really frightened. She says she has no idea what to do.
Wow, that is the story. And sadly, that is a typical story of a boy self-harming. And one of the things that perhaps Lucy could have done, and this is looking back, is to have walked straight out of the room and actually taken 5 minutes to calm down and to get hold of the fact that it's about her son and not about perhaps her disgust or her anger, her shock. It's very much remembering it's about what is happening to your son. You have to put your own personal feelings completely to one side.
Are there any signs that this could be happening?
Yes, there are. There's signs such as withdrawal. At first it's very, very slow. And then it's a bit like a snowball going down a mountain. Yeah, it gets bigger and bigger. The withdrawal starts. Then the rage. Yeah, there's a lot of rage. Completely disrupting the family. One of the other signs is that you'll find if they're doing it on their wrists, they will start to wear long sleeves to cover them up in the summer, but they'll always have a very good excuse. You've got to remember that this is an addiction, yeah, and with this addiction comes secretiveness, but it also is very manipulative as well. So they do it because they need to feel.
But what triggers this sort of behaviour?
It can be something very small. It can be somebody actually calling him a geek. It could be his friendship group have said some kind of remark to him. They've moved on, he's still got it. It could be that he feels he's looking at everybody else and he's thinking they're cool, they're good looking. And slowly he loses himself. He sees himself because he doesn't like sports. And this is a problem a lot of boys have if they don't like sports today and they don't like going to the gym. They don't fit in.
Sure, but why? I mean, this is a horrific act. I mean, to actually do that, why do that?
Because it's to feel. You will get some people who will be very precise in the way they cut. You'll get others that will just cut, yeah? That few seconds makes them feel alive. And that is their cry for attention. You'll find most people that do it on the wrist. I had one client who actually said they never saw it.
Sure. So what can be done? Any advice? Any do's and don'ts?
One of the things is finding out where the trigger was, and that's not easy. First of all, you have to step back and you have to give him space. And it's talking to him. It's asking him about casual questions. It's finding out what is going on in your life. You know, I phoned up and you're not speaking to them anymore. Can you tell me why? If he says no, then you back away.
Sure.
It's letting him know that you're there for him.
And what about professional advice?
Absolutely. If it gets so bad that you're worried and they're doing it on a continuous basis and you know this, you must go and see a doctor, yes.
Do you confront him about this?
It's very difficult to confront somebody who has an addiction like this. What you have to do is perhaps either try and get somebody who he admires, that's not involved with the family at all, that can stand back and talk to them. School is a very good way. Has he got a teacher that he admires? Is there an uncle or a friend? Someone outside the family circle that's just got that detachment is fantastic, because they will look at it. They're not the parent. They're not grasping. They're not looking at what did I do wrong. They're looking at the child and saying, okay, you know, what's going on in your life? How are you? And they make it a lot more easier for them to talk.
Sure. Any other final do's and don'ts?
To me, the most important thing is that you remember this is something that this boy is going through, and it's a horrendous experience. A lot of the time it does pass. However, it's finding out why. And it's pointless saying, if your son said to you, I feel fat, disgusting, a geek, that is how he feels. And you saying, but you're not, is going to make no difference whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. So what do you say?
You ask him very, very general questions about school life, about his friends. Oh, I saw such and such. What you don't do is ask direct questions. What you can say is, I love you and I'm always here for you whenever you need me.
Sure.
Keep reassuring the love.